Welcome back to Paying Attention. Today I'm going to share some brief thoughts on certain challenges innate to bodybuilding for others that just need encouragement or feel like they're not making progress. I'm going to start by sharing my own experience so that maybe you can use it to avoid some pitfalls others fall into and maybe reasons why they start and don't finish or give up. So body composition is something of a cyclic thing. I'm sure most people have heard of other bodybuilders saying that they're going on cycles. There are many different factors that go into what your physique looks like. For instance, water intake, sodium, blood plasma while you're working out, which causes the muscle to swell during your workout from blood entering into the muscle to give it that energy it needs, or moving out from the areas adjacent to the muscle, like the glycogen stores, to give it energy for anaerobic ATP conversion. That being said, a common mistake I see, and I'm guilty of too, is people trying to cut too soon. And I see the danger as more of a teeter-totter between trying to constantly keep up appearances and maintain low body fat while adding muscle mass, and the two are antithetical to one another. One thing I'm starting to do differently is when I hit extenuating circumstances that break up my workout regimen or routine. Previously, I would have tried making up for adding fat or being sedentary by supplementing more cardio for excessive glycogen stores, which is just glucose in your muscle that your muscle uses for your workouts. And 80% of your glycogen is, I know glucose, everybody thinks it's like sugar. It's pretty much just like sugar broken down from carbohydrates. There's different types of carbohydrates like monosaccharides, polysaccharides, oligosaccharides, and some others I can't think of right now. But the more saccharides, the more complex it is, and the more complex it is, the harder it is to break down. So then the theory is if it's harder for your body to break down through glycolysis, then you're going to burn more calories. Well, I'm not trying to burn more calories, I'm trying to add calories. So that is kind of counter to what my goals are right now. So I'm not really on that whole fat loss diet regime. But I did mention that, like, previously I was of that mindset, and I would have supplemented more cardio for those perceived excessive glycogen stores, some of which lipogenesis or into fat, which is just a fancy way of saying that if you don't use it, it's going to get stored as white adipose tissue, and if you don't even use it long enough, then it gets turned into more complex brown adipose tissue. But so instead of doing excessive cardio, I've started implementing carbohydrate restrictions on days, or I'm not certain I'll be able to get another workout in. So it's constantly in flux for me, which makes it a tad bit challenging. What you can gain from this is that, and basically there's a name for that, it's just called carb cycling, and I I've never really done it intentionally before. I've done it in like a fat loss sense, but I've never done it while I've been trying to add mass. But what you can gain from this is if you're currently in a cycle and it gets interrupted, I would recommend not drastically changing your diet habits or adding too much cardio, as the cellular respiration of ATP is 16-fold of what it would be for anaerobic glycolysis, which is 2 ATP. So if you do the math, it's like 32 ATP or something like that for oxidative glycolysis. But that would be a good thing if your goal or aim is to lose weight, but that's not what my goal is right now. And one option I would have, if that was my goal, would be to intermittent fast in an effort to deplete my natural blood and liver glucose levels. And I think there's also like I think most people think that like your glucose or your glycogen can phosphatize or let's see if we can get that right. Phosphorylate into blood glucose, but that's not actually how it works. There's a couple steps that it has to go through, and then it has to go through your liver, and then your liver has to process it to put it into your blood glucose. So if the theory behind intermittent fasting is if you deplete your glucose in your blood, then it's going to have to draw out those extra steps for your liver, and then that's why people detox their liver, is so that they can deplete all the glucose in their blood and their liver, and so that when they do work out, depletes those glycogen stores, and then consequently also the adipose stores as well. But again, that is not my main mission here, as I am trying to add muscle weight. So back to what I was saying earlier, that would be counterproductive to what my goals are right now, and my goals are to induce sarcoplasmic hypertrophy by enlarging my interstitial area in my muscle, myofibrillar, to increase glycogen storage and therefore their capacity. I've also found that even after a large day of calorie eating, for me personally, my body composition doesn't drastically change as far as body fat goes. So in a calculated effort, I would rather maintain fat stores because for me, losing weight is a lot easier to obtain than adding muscle mass. I don't know if I have like a fast metabolism or metabolic rate of my muscles are just kind of thermogenic at rest, but increasing my interstitial muscle stores will also increase the amount of time I'm able to either progressive overload weight or at least maintain a reps range of where I'm not oxidative, but I'm still creating hypertrophy in a sarcoplasmic sense by increasing the interstitial area for the myofibrillar tissue. So that's where I'm at right now, and the reason I want to increase those stores is basically so I don't have to start dropping the weight prematurely because of lactic acid buildup, and that from the byproduct of the ATP conversion and the Krebs cycle. So I'll talk about that in another video up here. You can click on and learn about that if you're interested. I've also found that drop sets are kind of an ephemeral thing, because everybody likes to say they go to failure, but when your range of motion is like, I used to just go to failure, but then I realized that failure is kind of a subjective term. So failure could be like, oh, well, I can't contract the weight all the way. Well, failure could mean, for me now, it means like, well, I can still contract it a little bit, and even though my range of motion isn't 100%, I'm still getting blood flow into the area of the muscle. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm forcing more blood into the area where there's already a ton of lactic acid buildup. So theoretically, it's just going to make that interstitial area bigger. So I'm okay with not going all the way with my range of motion. Other updates, though, I have is the website is now up and running. I've added a few articles and a good set of multitude of bodybuilding meals, focused meals. If you want to save your hassle of slogging through the internet and finding things with good macro splits that are low in sugar and low in fat, that you can skip the hassle of trying to, put it together yourself, which is good. And so if you're not into like following recipes, you can always just use them and create your own kind of thing if you want. But yeah, it's still a work in progress, but it's coming along. And then also, real quick before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe if you find any of my information useful and you can apply it to your own life. This is Delon with Pain and Tension for Fitness into the New Age, and I'll see you in the next video.